Hello and welcome to Soul Symbols. My name is Shelly. I'm a writer, an astrologer, and a card reader, and I'd like to welcome you to my channel. Happy Tuesday. It's How to Tarot Tuesday, and what that is that's a video series that I host every week. Each Tuesday I show one card from the 78 card tarot, and what we do is we go ahead and we spend the beginning of the video analyzing the symbols of that card. And then after we have talked about the meaning, I go ahead and let you choose from one of 3 tarot decks. The tarot decks that I select always correspond with the card that we're talking about. The first deck will always be the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. And then the second deck, the second and third decks, I choose specifically because of the symbolism to help describe the card. So what we're going to do is, if you ever want to skip straight to your reading, the timestamps are always in the description box below. But we'll go ahead and we'll get started. So today is a special day. I was really looking forward to this read because, again, if you are watching this video right on the date, on what is it, the 22nd, August 22nd, April 22nd. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. What it is that the world is still in the midst of a health pandemic, and a lot of people are affected, and myself included. We've all kind of felt the impact, and so what I was excited about was that with all the events in the world and with everybody staying at home, and I do believe that there's a real psychological impact with staying home all the time. I think everybody feels it. And what was beautiful is that last week we talked about the 7 of Wands, which is a little bit, it's a bit of a standing your ground and everything coming at you from all sides. And now today we get to talk about the 8 of Wands, which is a really fun, exciting, look happily into the future kind of card. So I was looking forward to it. I was like, yes, bring it on. So here it is. So in the 8 of Wands, you see 8 wands that look like they are airborne. They are all parallel to each other, and they have a sense of momentum. They have a sense of swiftness, of just flying through the air, like someone threw, like 8 people threw wands at the same time. The backdrop, you see on the wands that all of the wands are sprouting. So just like the Ace of Wands, that means that this is fruitful action. It is action of growth, and again, with wands being energy and momentum, it's action. Behind the wands, you see a blue sky, so it really is indicative of a peaceful time, of a happy time, a sunny day like it was today. And then underneath the wands, you see kind of a green background. You look like the vantage point looks like you are out in nature. There's a very calm stream. So again, it just looks like there's all this kind of wonderful activity going on against the backdrop of a very peaceful and, happy, beautiful landscape. So in the short meaning, and it's one of the more simple and straightforward cards, it definitely means forward motion. The 8 of Wands means swift action. It means things that are happening, like things that are happening, things are hopping and happening. And it's such an exciting energy. It's just got a sense of purpose, a sense of, I always think of the way that, when race cars line up at the starting line, it goes red, yellow, go, that's kind of the feeling when you see the 8 of Wands. It definitely means the parallel between the wands, the way that they all are very evenly spaced apart and all going very uniformly in the same direction. It usually means smooth and rapid progress, which is wonderful. So in that same vein, the way that everything seems kind of in tandem, in line, it really does mean that activity that is going your way, it's going the way that it should be. It could be something, again, in that vein, it can be something that a project that you've launched and it's going off without a hitch, right? Everything's going smoothly the way you want it to. If you see this like in a computer sense, it could be a patch or some kind of software that you launch that works. There's no bugs, right? A lot of times it can be if you initiate, like I know in my daily life I deal with a lot of tech, and sometimes when you buy into a new computer software, you're like, oh gosh, is that first day going to be, it could either be really good or it could be really bad, you know? And the Eight of Wands usually means it's going to be really good. It means, again, everybody, if you manage a team of people and you have some kind of initiative that, you know, or some kind of a project that you're launching, it means that everybody's, you know, communicating well and everybody's on the same track. Everyone's on the same page. The other thing is that the beautiful thing, and what I loved about, you know, reading this card today, is that it's the end of delays. That's what it means. It means there's nothing else holding you back. It is all systems go, right? Green light, go for it. Go for it. Just start running, right? And all systems go is what I hear when I see this card. And again, you know, with the blue sky and the peaceful background, it really means this is not, and in this context, when it's upright, it doesn't mean that it means the good type of go, you know, the good type of acceleration. It can mean a frenzy of activity in a good sense. So sometimes this could mean a party, or a lot of times I think about it like if you're sometimes if you're party planning, like maybe you're planning a wedding or something like that, it means that all of the things that you have to coordinate are going well. It can mean like new ideas, or, you know, it can mean you broadening your mindset. Maybe you had one idea, which is kind of the Ace of Wands, and then all of a sudden, you know, you built upon that idea and everything like this. Yeah, I think of it almost like a ripple effect. You start getting more ideas on top of your initial one, and all of them are coordinating with one another, and it's propelling you faster. The other thing is that it can mean making headway after a heavy delay. So again, you know, living in, you know, the current circumstances, it could mean that we're actually getting leeway with the health crisis, and things are starting to get better, and we really are close to having kind of a moment where we can see our way forward. The other thing is that it can be rushing. It can be that kind of excited rushing into a new arena or a new area. So maybe you were given a new job, or there's something. This could also be hobbies. Again, wands are creative energy. Maybe I know that when I started tarot after a long time, I got so excited. I started learning, and I think of it as like that rapid learning. I think it was so long ago. I think it was in the Halloween reading when I talked about, in the Halloween reading, I did a What is Your Inner Monster? It's here in my playlist if you ever want to get a chance to watch it. But I was so excited. The Blob came out, and that is so my monster. And in that reading, I talked about how when you learn something new, when you start either that, or if you find a TV show that you love and then you just have to watch every episode and analyze the holy heck out of it, that's kind of the energy of the Eight of Wands. It's almost like, you know, you want to consume, you want to just, you know, one rod became 8 and you just want to keep going. You just want to keep on going, right? You know? And sometimes you can do that when you've started a hobby or something that you're passionate about. It's kind of getting caught up in the change of things. The other thing is that it can really mean moving something into high gear. So in that same vein, maybe a project started off very slowly, and then all of a sudden you can go to second gear, third gear, and before you know it, you're opening up fifth, right? That's the Eight of Wands kind of energy. Now the second deck, and again, just like most of my decks, I knew I was going to use this card with this read. I went with the Anna K, and here it's just such a neat image. You see a woman hanging over a railing with 8 rods, And you see a person with red gloves, and I love this guy's red gloves because he looks like, you don't even see his face, but it looks like he ran through the night, like he galloped through the night to bring this message, right? So, and this woman is there, she's ready to receive, right? So in that same vein, kind of looking at that imagery, the Eight of Wands can mean a delivery. It can be a package that you've been waiting to get. And goodness knows, we've all had it where we needed something really on the fly and you ordered it and you thought, oh gosh, and especially you're probably real familiar with it. I mean, we're all doing that now, probably to, buy the necessities online. And you thought, oh gosh, okay, the moment I place this order, it's going to take 10 days to show up, right? But then all of a sudden, and it could be paperwork, it could be a document that you really needed to sign. When you see the Eight of Wands, it means that I look at this card and I think of a really important Eight of Wands meaning, which is relay, like, almost like the Pony Express, like that shipment, that letter left its origination point, got handed into the hand of someone who galloped to the next station, and it got handed off until it got back to you. And it's like, so a lot of times when I do see the Eight of Wands, I do think of that. I think, okay, what I think is going to take a long time, the post office is really going to come through for me. It's going to, if you ordered something one day and you get it the next day, that is, and that is something, honestly, just on a side note, to be very thankful for. And again, in these times, I'm very grateful for the post office. I'm grateful for the UPS workers who are working very hard and probably really exposing themselves to a lot. And that kind of relay to help people is a service. It is an essential service, and I'm so grateful for that. But I'm sorry, rant over. But that's the kind of thing. And I do, that's what I love about this card, is because I always say a little blessing of thanks. I always kind of say, well, thank you so much for all that you do. Every single time I say it mentally in my head, and it's just gratitude. You put gratitude out in the world, it comes back to you. So, but that's what I think of when I see that card, because it's about, it's about having all the elements come together. Again, it's that relay, like one person did their job, the other person didn't miss a beat. They picked up where the other person left off, and it was just like, the relay was there. The other thing is that, it can be, in that sense, it can be a grand finale of something. You can see that this letter is kind of reaching its final destination. And again, so in that sense, with it being wands, which is physical and activity, this could be a physical performance. Like if you're a dancer or if you do something in the physical world, it can be, maybe you're an actor, maybe you're in theater. This would be like the 100% perfect performance where you didn't miss a beat. You got every step, you got every line. And then when you finally do that final bow, it's like, wow, that went off without a hitch, right? Went off without a hitch. So in that sense, it can be, the closing out of something in a very grand finale kind of way, the water feature at the Bellagio, the fireworks at Disneyland. But it is definitely it's kind of the feeling of finishing unconcluded business. So again, this, and if you saw this after a card of some stagnancy, because remember we said, Eight of Wands is about things coming back into action after a delay possibly, and that things just wrapping up. Like, wow, maybe you were waiting for a long time and then all of a sudden, boom, all systems go, and then it wrapped itself up in a pretty little bow really quickly. And you're like, wow, all that waiting, and then boom, done. That's definitely an Eight of Wands concept. So it's finding a successful resolution, and it's, just wrapping things up. Wrap it up, And the other thing is that in the same sense, it can be getting necessary information, like needed information. Again, with the number of rods in the air, sometimes I definitely, especially if you see this around a swords card, Maybe because again, it's like all systems go. I really get when I see this card, and not just the Anna K, when I see the regular Eight of Wands, I usually think that it's information because it's so many rods. I always think about it as information that you were missing. Like missing information. And again, this really is a great image for that too, because it's almost like she's getting that letter that's explaining it all, explaining it away, right? So it's possible that if you were experiencing some kind of bottle up, and then all of a sudden you get notification. You get notification as to why there was delays. You get notification as to what was happening. And in a business context, that can really mean a lot of things. Maybe there was something going on and you're like, okay, I've heard crickets, what's going on, And then all of a sudden you get one email that just tells you about 8 different things. So a lot of times it can usually mean that there might be something going on that has several moving parts, and that you didn't realize. So that's the other thing. And again, in my daily life, I have a very business, 9 to 5, where sometimes no news isn't, I'm not saying no news is good news, but no news usually means that there's something complex going on, and eventually it will, when you get that email, it breaks it all down. Okay, that's what the delay was about, right? Is because they had to work out ABC through Z. Now, the last kind of meaning is, so again, in that vein, it can be discovering the truth and finding the missing piece, right? Finding the missing piece. But, but it usually means that you are full of energy. The other thing is that and again, the last card really plays into this, and I went with the Sun and Moon Tarot by Vanessa Decort, is that it talks about like having a lot of physical energy. And I love this card because a lot of decks depict the wands as being like on wings. And the slow tarot, I debated about using the slow tarot, but I really liked this image. And it's this woman who looks like she's wearing yoga pants, honestly, and she's got this rainbow sunbeam coming out of her hand. So it looks like she's doing some kind of like kung fu on the arrows that are coming at her. But she does well. It almost looks like she has the arrows in the sack on her back as well. But yeah, it definitely just means, again, with it being rapid movement forward, it can definitely mean that you are just full of energy. So in that sense, it can also mean that you started some kind of fitness regime. Maybe you started something new, or maybe you're really going, a lot of times, sometimes when I see this card, I'll think, okay, someone started one of those 60 or 90-day exercise programs where you do, when you start off, you're going to have a little bit of, by the time you're finished, you're going to be ripped, The other thing is that, it can be sudden travel by air. So, and of course, none of us are doing that right now, but, once the life, the world returns back to normal, we will be more familiar with that. But it does just basically mean, that maybe you have to make a sudden trip somewhere. And again, she looks like she's navigating all of the information or all of the actions that are coming at her. So, but she's doing it in almost kind of like a go with the flow kind of exciting way. It just, I do see that card and think, okay, that can be, you being called at the last minute to go somewhere. And it's more of a fun kind of connotation, not really because something bad happened. But it can also mean that it can be a sudden trip for fun, like maybe your friend at the last minute invites you to hop a plane to, I don't know, the Bahamas, and you're like, sure, and that's sudden exciting activity that is getting you all psyched up, right? It's a green light. And so again, if you have that kind of opportunity and then you see the Eight of Wands come up in a read, it usually means that it would be very seamless, that it would just happen without a hitch. Now, when you look at the Eight of Wands in reverse, The first meaning that comes to mind is wasted energy, right? This would be kind of the interpretation of someone putting all of their energy towards something that was either frivolous or not really worth it. It is kind of a universal spinning your wheels kind of card. Like sometimes it can be, the interpretation can be that you put so much energy into something that was really just futile, or you might have someone kind of riding you to do something that's really not going to come to any kind of productive end. So you feel like you're wasting your energy. The other thing is that it can be excessive speed. It can be going too fast, you know, the Mach 5 with your neck breaking, you know, it's like, you know, you got to kind of be careful with that, because, you know, sometimes if you don't take the time that something needs, you might, one of those, you know, those rods are all parallel now, but a blink of an eye, they can all, you know, hit and become crisscross. So, you know, it can be a project that requires a little bit of precision or a little bit more tact. It can be, again, it can be being too pushy. You know, it can be pushing your ideas on someone or someone pushing their ideas on you. It can definitely be impulsiveness. And sometimes it can be a little bit of insecurity. Most wands do mean insecurity in the reverse, but here it would just be kind of like, should I go forward with this? Or I kind of read it more like a hesitance, like you have the opportunity to go full force towards something, but you're like, is this going to be what I think it is? You know, is this going to be worth it? Should I do it? And then you hesitate. The other thing is that it can be sometimes it can be a theft. If you see wands, it can be something that happened quickly. So, you know, again, you know, maybe it was some kind of action that was taken real quick. You know, sometimes you can see that if you have your purse stolen or you have money taken out of your bank account. The other thing is that it can be, you know, it can be the opposition or fights. I know you kind of see that more in the other wands cards. You know, we've had a tarot on the 5 of wands and also the 7 of wands. But definitely this is the feeling of, just like we said, it's, you know, feeling like it's fast positive action. Sometimes you can feel it when it's in reverse as it being fast negative actions that I almost, you know what I always think of when I see the 8 of wands in reverse is that, have you ever seen these, you know, almost like the Robin Hood movies where, you know, the very first attack, when they're firing flaming arrows, all of the arrows hit the camp at once. It's like poof, 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 and things start burning. That's kind of what I think of when I see the 8 of wands. It's like if someone is really trying to hit you while you're down, or maybe someone is trying, you know, to take an initial affront against you, I kind of would see that as the 8 of wands in reverse, because it's almost a calculated attack, okay? All of the arrows are hitting you succinctly because the point is to take sudden action to get you, right? But in kind of, in a better, you know, in a kinder reversal sense, is that it can just be miscommunication or upsetting news. Again, you know, maybe you got like a sudden, you know, in that same kind of vein of 8 wands hitting, you know, sometimes it could just be a letter that kind of punched you in the gut, you know, either that, or it could be that maybe you were fearing the worst. If you see like the 9 of swords and then you see the 8 of wands in reverse, it could be the news that you feared to get, you know, that you had a feeling, you know, maybe the high priestess showed up, you had a feeling something was going on, and then all of a sudden you get a letter that affirms, you know, that the worst has happened. Sometimes that letter can be a dismissal. It can be sometimes getting the pink slip or being laid off. Sometimes it can be expulsion, you know, if it's a school thing, you know, or just being written up for something, you know, if, you know, it can be a broken engagement, or it can be a trip that's been delayed. Again, we talked about that lady maybe getting, you know, her friend saying, you know, hey, come join me. Nope. So in that same sense, it can be a concert that's delayed. You know, you might be seeing the 8 of wands in reverse a lot lately, you know, with the plans that have to be postponed. It can also be problems with transport. Definitely if you see this wands, you know, anywhere near the Chariot or the Chariot in reverse, it would usually mean cars breaking down or maybe meetings being canceled because of something going on. I remember one time not too long ago, I had a writer's retreat in Tennessee, and it was right at the time that they had experienced the floods. And, you know, then immediately afterwards, the new venue changed from being Nashville to being Disney World. So that was kind of nice, but it was still, that would be something that you might see the Eight of Wands in reverse and then maybe, you know, a happy card after that. But sometimes it can be, you know, it can be kind of in a youth sense. If you're looking at the Eight of Wands as a person, it can be, you know, someone who's a real mover and shaker, someone who's moving forward really quickly. And then the Eight of Wands in reverse can be a restless person. It can be a restless teenager. It can be a teenager who's been grounded. It can be all of us who feel like we're grounded right now, you know, like we're restless, we want to get out. And sometimes it can be potential violence. Again, you know, just like I said about all those arrows, the attack, you know. So, but most of the time it just means plans that didn't work out. You know, again, it can be a real frantic kind of behavior. It can be someone who's running around and being all spastic, for lack of a better word. But, you know, and again, it can be someone who's irritating in that respect, someone who hops around, we got to do this, we got to do that. And, you know, someone who's real fragmented and you're like, okay, just breathe, just stop, you know, just breathe, right? And you know, so you definitely like, you know, and in the more mild sense, it can be like, okay, the world is driving me crazy. You know, the world, sometimes it can be the watching the news and just being sick of what you're seeing. And I know all of us can empathize with that, where you just look at it and think, okay, you know, can we stop this ride? I want to get off. I'm ready to throw up. But, you know, but a lot of times it just kind of means, you know, what's your hurry? And in the upright, it definitely means a lot of, you know, things moving forward in a very succinct and positive way. So guys, that is the Eight of Wands. You can see why I was looking forward to it, because I think all of us need a little Eight of Wands in our lives right now. It's definitely a nice thing. But what I will do now is I will go ahead and I will let you choose your deck. The first deck, we have the Rider-Waite-Smith, which is the A.G. Mueller production, which it's a very clear rendition. It's very, you know, kind of sketched very exactly. You have a beautiful kind of sunny brown sunstone. Then the second deck is the Anna Kay, and with it, I have the my beautiful smoky quartz. I love this stone. I lucked out and found it at like a new age store, and it's just so perfect. And then the last deck is the Sun and Moon Tarot by Vanessa Decort. And with it, I have, it's that obsidian. Yes, we got some dragon glass. Woo. Dragon glass, guys. All right. If you need more time, please pause the video. I always ask, please choose from your gut instinct. If you like the artwork, if you like the number or the timestamp, like the stone, or just getting a good vibe from it, go for it. And go ahead and choose from that inner voice, and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're back. I'm gonna go ahead and move our other decks up so we have space. And I know I've been promising you guys for a while, I do have a new microphone. It arrived, it's here. And I'm playing with it, and it's so cool. It can do a lot of things. And I'm so excited. It sounds fantastic, but I'm just working out how I want to use it, and then probably by the weekly energy card reading, you're probably going to hear it. So good news, new equipment. So I'll stop blabbing and we'll get to it. Deck number 1. The Rider-Waite-Smith. I really do. There's a few cards that just the Rider-Waite-Smith is just still the best, you know. The other decks are gorgeous, but You know, the Eight of Wands is one of those cards for me with the Rider-Waite. Okay, so let's go ahead and see with our sunstone. We got our sunstone and our moon. Okay, so deck number 1. What's the beginning of deck number 1's week? Thank you. Is that 4 cards or 3? That's 3. Okay, what's the middle of deck number 1's week? Or, I'm sorry, I'm thinking the right question. Sorry, guys. How does the Eight of Wands manifest in your life? Don't mind me. It's been a long week. Okay, how does the Eight of Wands manifest in your life? And, ooh, thank you. That was quick. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take it this way because it really does seem, and oh gosh, guys, I'm seeing the Three of Swords and I'm seeing the Ace of Cups. Top of the deck, Eight of Cups. All right, so let's go ahead and read this. How is the Eight of Wands manifesting in your life? Wow, guys, I'm going to call it. You guys you've had a delay. You were held back by some kind of financial or real world obligation. Just going to call it as I see it. You have the Two of Pentacles, the King of Swords, and the Ace of Swords. And the Ace of Swords is the root of the situation. So you had some kind of epiphany. You had some kind of realization. Honestly, you might have had some kind of opportunity. I'm almost getting a feel like this is some kind of opportunity in the tech world or technology world, something that involves thought. And you can be a woman and be in the King of Wands energy. All that means is that, and again, I love this deck for this because look at the salamanders. This guy is just badass. The King of Wands is a warm character. He knows what he wants, right? Look at that profile. He just looks out in the distance like, okay, let me go get it. Let me get it. And it's funny, he doesn't even have to get up to go get it. It kind of, it comes to him, basically. But he's a fiery character, and when you've got wands, see, the only 2 wands are the 8 and you, right? So I definitely get the sense the way that the Eight of Wands is manifesting in your life is that in the past, what was kind of, remember how we said it's the 8 is the lunge forward, and you can even see it. Like this person is, you know, juggling, and then it's like whoosh, right? And the wands are angling here too. The positions of where the cards are going definitely play into the reading. And I think in the past, because you have 3 Pentacles cards here, is that in the past you had more than one obligation. And it doesn't necessarily have to be money. I am definitely getting a money vibe. But you had some kind of obligation. That obligation could be work. It could be family. It could just be, you know, getting places in the world. And actually, I am kind of getting a finding your place in the world vibe with it too, because there's a lot of red here. There's a lot of red. And a minute ago, the Emperor really wanted to come out, right? But I definitely think in the past, you were in control, like you were the king, right? You're the king, and you're the king of fire too. You take action, you know what action to take, and you're not being frivolous about anything. But you definitely had 2 very, very big obligations, and you kind of had to juggle. And you definitely had times that were up and down. That's the other thing, is that maybe it was money, where one minute things were really up and another minute things were really, really down. The other thing is that I'm getting a lot of action from these cards, like you were just preoccupied. You were preoccupied, you couldn't handle, and it isn't that when I say you can't handle it, it's not saying that you don't have the energy to, because again, you're the king, you definitely have the energy to, but it was becoming a bit much. It was almost like it's almost like in order to get everything done, you had to put one thing down just for a minute, right? You were like, okay, in order for me to do everything that I need to do. And the other vibe that I'm kind of getting is that it's almost like, because we have a 1 here and a 2 here, and you know, the Ace of Swords is breakthrough, right? Maybe you got some kind of opportunity to do something. The other thing is, I almost feel like you had a mental epiphany of what you wanted to do with your life. But the thing is that in order for you to, it's almost like you had two really big goals, two things that you really valued, but one of the goals became a little bit more precedent, one that needed to be done. It's almost like in order for you to have both, if you continue to try to get both at the same time, you were not gonna, you were not gonna do either justice. So you almost had to put one of these things down in order to focus on one. And then as soon as you get the one goal accomplished, you can turn around and go back, hopefully, to the other goal, if the other goal is still there. If this makes any sense whatsoever. Now, the present, and I'm definitely getting a money vibe, is that all of the wands flying forward, I really do get the sense, because you have one person in all three of the middle cards. And for the record, you got the 8 of Pentacles, you got the 7 of Pentacles, and you got the 7, you got 2 sevens, 7 of Cups, which is the, okay, how fast is things growing? I'm working, and what it is you're working really hard, you're gaining a skill, you're perfecting a craft, and it's almost like you want it to rush, you want it to hurry up, you need to get back to your other pentacle, right? And you're really deciding, you're working really hard, and you're deciding, okay, what path can I do? All this work, where should I go next? And you have a lot of options. You kind of have, wow, guys, look at this. You got 2 8s and 2 7s. And you see how it goes in a root, 7 7 8 8. 7 7 8 8. So the way that it started was you put one goal down, and you've put all of your energy, and King of Wands, he's an energy ball. He doesn't even have to get off his throne. And the beginning of, you put one of the coins down, and the first thing that you thought was, okay, gosh, I have all of these opportunities now that I can direct all of my energy. And again, 8 wands, boom, 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 boom. You can put your full force of energy towards the one goal. Where do you want that goal to take you, right? You have choices, and the thing about the 7 of Cups is that some of those choices don't lead to, again, you got gold in one cup, you got victory in another, you got a tower in another, you've got a mystery in another, you could have deception in another. The thing is, you were trying to be very careful about where, once you achieve everything that you're going to achieve, where do you want it to take you? Because it's moving fast, right? You're zooming along, and you want to hit your goal, you want to hit your mark. And so you really did, you felt probably a little overwhelmed, a little bit like, where do I go next? What should I do? What should I go for? And then you did also, I am getting a sense like you've probably been working into some kind of, I am getting a work vibe. I am getting a feeling like you're making money. I do get a feeling like there's been a few moments where you're like, okay, this is just not going fast enough. I need to get back to my other pentacle, or I have to decide how do I want this new life to be, right? But you're working really hard at it, and you're making that money, by the way, you're making that money. I think the other thing that I love about the 8 of Pentacles in this deck, and that's Rider-Waite, is that you see it's growing up the tree. It's like he's perfecting each pentacle, but it's almost like the 10 of Pentacles, he's building on that. And it's a very strong foundation. You could be buying, you could be paying off a house, or doing improvements, or just building a nest egg to where whatever cup you choose would be yours, free and clear, right? But that's where you are currently. That's where all this energy is taking you. But I do get the sense that you feel like I do get the sense that you feel overwhelmed by it. I mean, I think that you like learning new things, and I think that you like the money, you like the security. And again, pentacles are what you value, so it doesn't necessarily have to be fiscal, but these 2 cards really tell me that you do feel a little overwhelmed by it, and sometimes you question the value of it. It's like, okay, yes, I'm working hard. Yeah, I'm making that bank. I'm making that dough. but is it worth it, you know? And the other sense that I get is this, it's like this now. And again, you know, there's certain things going on in the world right now that because events are what they are right now, you might be busier now and then later it might slow down, or your job or, you know, what you do might change. And when those 8 wands actually land and you get a chance to breathe, you get a chance to actually do, you know, what you want to do, whatever that is, you're feeling as if that's not coming fast enough. Either that, or you're thinking, you know, how much longer will I have this speed? And that can be in a good and bad sense. I'm reading it in the good sense, like, okay, you know, I've got, you know, I'm making this money, I'm doing the thing, you know, right now. But in the future, when this dies down, or when things change, or remember how we said, you know, the 8 of Wands can be a culmination. It's the final hurrah. You know, maybe when your project's done, you really have to make a decision as to where you're going next. And I do get the sense that, you know, and in the future that you see here is where you want this to go. Is you want this to go to calmer waters. You want to move away from chaos. And you got the Empress. So I really get the sense that I'll come out and say it, if you're a man, one of the 2 Pentacles might have been a relationship with someone that you deem as being the Empress, like being the mother of your children, you know, the peanut butter to your jelly, you know, the whole kit and caboodle. And you might be working through kind of a busy time. She might have been one of the Pentacles that you had to put down, like, okay, I have this work opportunity, I can't pursue a relationship right now. Either that, or again, with world events going on, maybe you're separated from someone. I have 2 friends who are actually engaged during this time, and they had to rearrange things because, of course, you can't have weddings, you can't have engagement parties when we're in social isolation. So maybe you had the beginnings of a relationship and you've been separated, and as soon as things start to calm down, your first goal is to move away from the chaos. And, you know, the other thing is the Empress is very clearly a mothering type, and there's 3 people in this boat, you know, the person, what looks like a woman, and a child. So, you know, I think maybe what you may want to do in the future is you might say, okay, things are all, you know, fast-paced now, but in the future I just want to slow down and I want to settle down. Now, again, you know, you can be a woman in the King of Wands energy, and if you are a woman, what you want to do is you think, okay, you know, I'm working hard, I'm serving others, things are very chaotic right now, I'm not sure how things are going to go. But as soon as things do slow down, as soon as all those rods land, I do want to get, I'm getting the sense, like, first off, I want to take a vacation, I want to take a break, and then definitely if you're an essential worker, this could be the vibe. And then the other thing is that the Empress is a very earth mother kind of energy. I just kind of get a sense like maybe you just want to be at home. You just kind of want to rule your own roost. Maybe you do want to just own your own home and, you know, kind of do things your way. But I do get a nurturing vibe. You know, I was saying in the weekly energy card reading, I've taken Earth Day off, and all I want to do is just have a day to breathe and do nothing, and maybe, you know, replant some of my plants. I'm kind of getting that feeling. So it might not be anything as grand, but the Empress is the embodiment of all 4 of the queens. So definitely, if you're a man watching this reading, I definitely get the sense like your next step after everything slows down is to go get your woman, go get your queen, your Empress. And again, I always love this card because look at that crown, man. She's the, you know, she's got the vivacity of the the Queen of Wands. She's got the intelligence and wit and of the Queen of Swords. the heart of the Queen of Cups and the practicality and the nurturing and the natural prowess of the Queen of Pentacles. But I do think that it's almost like the other thing I'm getting is if you're a woman that you'll probably be in that energy. It's almost like this experience gave you all of that, gave you all of those elements, right? The other thing is that maybe you just want to go home and just be nurturing. Maybe you do just want to be home with your kids or home with your family and just, doing things your way, just doing your own thing. But wow, guys, yeah. So that's how the Eight of Wands is manifesting in your life right now. That was real powerful. I like that. All right, so deck number 2, we got the Anna K. Let's go ahead and we'll get started. So the Anna K and the Smoky Quartz. How does the Eight of Wands manifest in your life right now? Ooh, that flipped out. Okay. Okay, currently. Thank you. I'm getting a lot of flippers. Okay. And then the future. All right, guys. So here we definitely got a little bit of a different interpretation. So in the past, we got another 8. We got the 8 of Cups. And again, in this deck, you see 8 cups on the steps there, and you see what looks like the silhouette of 2 people and someone who looks like they're walking away, right? It looks like they're walking away from something. So I think in the past, I do think in the past that there was something that you walked away from that you had emotionally invested in. It doesn't necessarily have to be a relationship. It can be. I am kind of getting that feeling, but it can also be. It could be something else. It could be a job. It could be some kind of group that you participated in. But just in the past, you just really felt like you felt like there was not a reason for you to stay, or there was something that you saw that made you believe that this was not where you needed to be anymore. And so the other thing about the Eight of Cups is that it isn't just walking away from something painful. A lot of times those cups, in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, you see the cups all nicely stacked up. Sometimes the Eight of Cups can definitely mean that you're walking away from something that is, for lack of a better word, old. Right? It's something, the cups are very meticulously stacked, right? And it means that you probably stacked them and unstacked them and then stacked them again. And you spend a lot of time and energy in doing that. And you finally, you decided, because the other thing about the Eight of Cups is that it's going on a journey, right? It's going on a journey to find something else, to find something that will fulfill you again, right? So that happens in life. Sometimes there are emotional experiences that do, and remember how we said the Eight of Wands can be a conclusion. It can be the wrapping up of something. So here, you really did kind of walk away from a situation that you felt like you've been there, done that, right? You completed it. You don't need to continue to stay there and stack and unstack your cups, right? There's something else in the world out there for you. Now, underneath, so you got your eight of rods, which is that, remember how we talked about it being relay, right? That message looks like it got handed off, and someone galloped up and the woman was right there ready to receive it, right? So I do get the sense that, I am getting a sense that this was something that was I am getting kind of a feeling of divineness in this. Like there was a reason that you had to walk away, right? There was something else for you out in the world. And it almost kind of looks like the same woman, right? There was something else out in the world that the universe needed to give you, right? You didn't need to spend all your time stuck with it, the eight, same old cups, right? And underneath the Eight of Rods, you got the High Priest. You got the High Priest, which is the Hierophant, right? And you see in his hand, he has a key, and, he has symbols of wisdom. And a lot of times it means the status quo. But in this sense, I'm really getting the sense that there was some kind of spiritual awakening, or there's something that you learned. There's something that you learned by walking away from this emotional, situation, this situation that really wasn't, serving you. And it really opened you up to a lot of spiritual learning, right? It's almost like you kind of, you learned new things. And remember how in the intro, if you watch the intro, the Eight of Wands can be that excitement from learning something new. Like if you start a new hobby, or you find a new TV show that you love and you just binge watch it to death, right? So a lot of times, sometimes these bad experiences, my mom always says it's tough times are just a wormhole to something better, right? Sometimes the universe has to get your attention because there's something that that you're not seeing that would really benefit you. That's part of your life purpose, right? And I do think that, and not to say that bad things happen for that reason, definitely not, but have you ever had it where, maybe you did go through a bad breakup, or maybe you had some kind of falling out with a job, and, I've had that happen. I've definitely had it where I left one job and I thought, oh gosh, and I wasn't even happy in that job, but then I thought, what if I can't find anything better? But then, while I was waiting, you get a little bit of time to yourself, and maybe you do learn a new hobby, or you start studying things or reading books in the meantime, and it really opens you up to new sides of yourself that you hadn't experienced before. I really get the sense of that, because the Hierophant, the High Priest, and the Eight of Rods, that's very spiritual learning. Maybe you started reading about religion, or maybe you started, again, a new hobby or a new line of study. Maybe you went back to school. But all of that really opened you up, and you would not have that knowledge. You would not, and it was real rapid too. It's almost like the how I always say the universe, the moment you open up an area, it'll rush to fill it. It'll be like, oh, thank goodness, I was waiting for you to open up because we need you to do this, right? You would love to learn this. And it's sourced in happiness too. That's the other thing, is that if you've ever dabbled and learned something new that you never knew about, and then it becomes like your passion, right? Because the other thing is wands are passion. But I definitely get the sense that, the other thing is that I am getting a little bit of an institutional vibe, because the High Priest is the status quo as well. So maybe you feel like you were leaving a situation and you feel safer in the status quo. This can also be a sign, the way I read this too, is that this seems a little bit more liberal, and this seems a little bit more established. Maybe you did go from a job that was, maybe you went from a small business to a big conglomeration, and or what I also think is that sometimes if you go from being on commission to actually being on salary, where you're guaranteed a paycheck, there's no volatility, that just the security of that, the stability, makes you feel good. It feels like a blessing. The other thing is maybe you're hearing about a job or a job opportunity, but definitely I feel like you just learned something, and it opened up your mind, right? Now, moving forward, there are no bad cards in tarot. There's no bad cards in tarot, so we always read them all together. But at the top, you got the Eight of Swords, and the Eight of Swords in this deck is seriously crazy cool. But in the typical Rider-Waite-Smith, you see a woman who's surrounded by 8 swords, and she's all tied up and she's blindfolded. And in this version, and I'll tell you, when we had a tarot, this is going to be it, right? She's a woman who's nicely dressed, looking in the mirror, and she's looking at the image of someone who's all tied up and stuck, right? And that's exactly what it is. In your mind, you think that you are stuck, but that's not necessarily the reality. When you look at it, she's standing looking at the mirror, and she's got that sword in her hands, right? It's only the reflection that is bound. And underneath it, the root of it is she got the devil. And no, please don't be afraid. We had a tarot on the devil. And the devil card basically means it means a lot of fear. It means a lot of codependency. It means the things, the addictions, the restrictions that are self-imposed. And the Eight of Swords is mental, self-imposed imprisonment. It's not true, but you think that you're stuck, right? So here, I really get the sense that, again, maybe you walked away from some kind of emotional thing, and maybe you really threw yourself into work. And now, moving forward, you really feel like you're putting on this persona, right? You're putting on this persona of being so composed, but inside of your own head, you feel really, really stuck. And what's making you stuck is some kind of addictions or some kind of fear that you can't let go of, right? And I clarified because I felt like we really needed to clarify, and we got the 10 of Wands, which is, you see this person in the corner, he's overwhelmed. He's overwhelmed. He feels like the world's coming in to get him, right? So again, this could be a situation where maybe you left something kind of a smaller situation. Maybe you thought there was some kind of betrayal there, and you went towards, I am getting a little bit of a work vibe. Maybe you went to some kind of position that, promised you normalcy, said, oh, okay, we're a big conglomeration, we'll take care of you. And you saw it as an opportunity. You definitely thought, wow, this is perfect, this is great, right? Full speed ahead. That's the other thing. Remember how we said full speed ahead, right? That's how the Eight of Wands manifests. But now I really get the feeling like you're feeling trapped by, the other thing about the High Priest is that is the status quo, that is rules. That's needing to be subject to what your society is expecting you to do. And I do think that you walked away from something smaller, maybe because the other thing is that this is perception. You have someone seeing something, and again, it may not be true. And I hope this is making sense, but yeah, I do get the feeling like you left something and then you went to something that really had a regime to it. It could be a spiritual regime, it could be a work regime. And as you move forward, you just feel like you're really stuck. You feel like you're trapped. The other thing is that when you look at this woman, you see how she's dressed very casually, right? And then when you look at the High Priest, he's dressed very elaborately, and then when you look at the woman again later, she's dressed more like the priest, right? I think you have to put on whatever you're doing now, whatever you left, you have to put on a real polished front, and it's making you feel stuck. And you feel really obligated to it because you also see all the reds. I mean, not to hold the High Priest up next to the Devil card, but you feel really bound. Whatever you went towards, whatever decision you went for, and you went for it fast. You went full speed ahead. You said, yeah, let's go for it. This probably was an impulsive decision. And now you're feeling a little bit stuck, you're feeling trapped. And the other thing is that I don't think anybody knows that you feel this way, because on the outside you look all like, yep, this is fine, but in the inside you feel like you can't get out. And you also feel really fearful too. You feel like, maybe you feel like you can't go back, or maybe you feel, remember how I said, you feel like if you leave this and try to do something different, But I think whatever choice that you made, you did it quickly, and it might have ended up with a lot more obligation than you initially intended. You're very overburdened. You're doing a lot more tasks than you should. It's overwhelming. And you're keeping a polished front, but you feel stuck. But we always say the best way to get rid of devil energy is to really look at the root of it. You know, there's nothing that, you know, the devil likes to make you believe that you can't leave, right? It's kind of like, I always think of the song Hotel California. You know, it's that place that makes you feel like you can never leave, but you can. You have free will. And I think that if you really dig deep, you know, try to manage as best as you can, but you may want to decide what your next course of action is, because you went from the 8 of Rods to the 10 of Rods, and you're feeling very codependent. You're feeling like stuck in a situation, like you can't get out. But it might take a little bit of work. It might take a lot of discipline. But if you admit, you know, there's no harm in admitting that you made a wrong choice. Either that, or if you try to manage the obligations that you have to the best of your ability, and then try to find a way to get out of it if it's too much for you. But I do think that, yeah, it was a very quick decision, and on the outside it looked so established, it looked so steady and reliable. But then, you know, again, you're seeing a lot of polished, veneered outside. You know, the exterior looks perfect, and then the inside you're seeing a lot of trapped and chaotic and overwhelmed type of energy. I would say just, you know, do the best that you can. I'm not saying that this is your situation. If this doesn't resonate, you know, definitely feel free to pick a different pile. But the best the best energy to deal with the devil is to look at where you feel trapped. What is it that's making you feel trapped? And how, because again, the eight of swords, she has a sword in her hand. She can cut herself loose anytime she wants. She can pull the blindfold off, right? So you always have free will. You never have to stay in a situation that's making you miserable. But gosh, guys, I hope that helps. That's how the Eight of Rods is manifesting in your life. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll go to our third deck, Sun and Moon, with our dragon stone, dragon glass. This really has a beautiful weight to it. I know that sounds such a silly thing to say, but gosh, I haven't used this deck in a while. I'm excited. Okay, so the eight of Wands. Let's go ahead and see, how does the Eight of Wands, deck 3, how does the Eight of Wands manifest in your life? Ooh, wow. And future. Do I have a flipper? We did. And future. All right, let's go ahead and see. Sorry, just getting a bead here. Yeah, wow, guys. So in the past, we got the Emperor, and wow. So the Emperor is a very Aries sign. We're in kind of an Aries sun right now. But the Emperor is a strong leader, right? He usually can be a patriarch. He can be the head of a family. He can be a boss or a CEO. But in the past, you were either in the Emperor energy or you had an Emperor figure in your life. Again, this could be a father. It could be uncle, a grandfather, a mentor. But the other thing is that maybe it could be you and your energy as well. It just basically means that you felt in control, or you really needed to be in control. Things needed to go the way that you wanted them to go. Either that, or you had someone in your life that was making you feel like you had to, who was directing you, who was, teaching you, and he, the person, this masculine figure, was really exuding that kind of energy. I am just going to clarify. There we go. Yeah, King of Pentacles, the Fool, King of Wands. Yeah, I am almost getting, and again, you could be a woman watching this reading. I do get the feeling like this is your energy. Like, I get the feeling like you this is more of your energy where you have a plan. You were the man or the woman with the master plan. Like you knew how things wanted to go. You wanted to be very financially secure. You wanted to be very creative, and you wanted new and different things, right? The other thing is that it could very well be that you have different people, because the other thing is we're seeing a lot of kings in this read. The other two cards that wanted to come out were the Fool and the King of Wands. So the thing that I'm kind of reading there is that you definitely, I get the sense like in the past you were ambitious. This is oozing ambition. You're ambitious. You had an opportunity to go full speed ahead with something, and you wanted things to be very calculated. You wanted things to go your way. And remember, the Eight of Wands are things, you know what it makes me think of? Actually, the writer Waite Smith, if you've ever seen the movie, I think it's from 1954, Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. Adam is, oh what a beautiful morning, oh what a beautiful day, everything's going my way. And he's a man's man too. He's all like shoulders back, beard, man bun. He's like, everything's going my way, right? So in the past, this could be a collaboration. And the other thing is that the Emperor is the King of Kings. So quite honestly, and again, you could be a woman in this energy. All it means is that you're being the boss, and it's not like in an empress way. It's in a CEO, head of the table kind of way. It can be business too. But it definitely looks like you have people underneath you. Maybe it's a collaboration between people. And there was definitely, with the Fool, there was a great energy to go forward. And that really plays into the Eights kind of overall theme. But again, maybe you were one of the persons underneath the Emperor, but the Emperor definitely has a collaboration, and he has an idea, and he doesn't think that he can fail, right? The Fool is the stepping off the cliff. He doesn't see the alligator there. He's not worried about it. He knows the universe is going to take care of him. But the other thing is that the King of Pentacles and the King of Wands, these can be different people, but these can be collaborators or people in your realm. But it is about financial security, and it's about forging and going forward in a creative way. And these are kings. These are not knights or pages. These are full-fledged, mature, adult, masculine energy. So that was your past, right? And again, this can be someone in your life, like you could be one of the kings under the Emperor, like a patriarchal figure, or that Emperor could be you, and this could be these sub characters in your mind is what you want to be, because the Emperor embodies all four kings. He's the King of Kings, right? But so that was the past. The past was, okay, this is my world. You're a squirrel in my world. I'm going to get the money. I'm going to get, I'm going to get the action. The other thing with the King of Wands is that the thing that the King of Wands is what makes him so attractive is that he's sitting on a throne and he's kind of leaning forward. But the King of Wands, he is about the thrill of action. So even though he's seated, he's on a throne, right? And here, let me just show you real quick, because he actually came up in the first deck. Here he is. He's right on top. But this is what I'm thinking when I'm describing. It's just, you see how he's seated, but he's not leaned back. He's kind of leaned forward. Kings are, again, the masculine. They don't have to get off their throne. They don't have to do anything. They're the king. They'll direct somebody to go do. They have minions. They're kings, right? But the thing that I think of, especially with the King of Wands, because the King of Pentacles is way more laid back, right? He's very comfortable, delegating. But the King of Wands, the thing that's important to the King of Wands is that they enjoy the thrill of business, right? You've ever seen it where when you go to work, sometimes the importance of being stimulated, there we go, being stimulated. Like if you just had a 9 to 5 that was boring as all get out, that's not a King of Wands kind of day, right? He would get bored out of his mind, right? So even though the Pentacles is great, you know, having the money is great, you know, paying them bills, if you don't have a job, if the King of Wands doesn't have a job that mentally that gives him the thrill of the victory, that, you know, he has to do something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like, you know, safari or anything like that, but it has to be like, when you go to work, you feel, I don't know why I keep thinking video games, but you know, like the thrill of winning the round, right? There's got to be some kind of element of that in what the king does, especially if you're of a wand suit. And that's definitely true of the emperor too. The emperor's a lot more regimed, where he just wants things his way. But if his sub descriptors are the King of Pentacles, he wants things his way. He wants it to be financially secure and making him money. He trusts that everything's going to go his way, and he wants some kind of thrill of the hunt. There has to be something in what he does every day that gives him that sense of, yeah, I won, boom, you know, fist pump. If what he's doing doesn't contain that kind of excitement, then it would get very dull, and that's an element that you need in your life. So sorry to get long-winded, but I just needed to express that because that's what's coming up under your emperor. It's like all these things. Now, the present is you got swiftness. And again, we talked about how in this it can be, you know, things coming at you. But here it does look like a little bit of a fighting stance. Here, I definitely think that you came into it with all these goals, right? But the other thing is that the Fool is a very innocent card, but it's flanked by kings. You have the Fool flanked by kings underneath the Emperor. That's a powerhouse. Honestly, what I'm seeing there is I'm seeing a trifecta of power here, and I am getting a CEO vibe. You can be a woman watching this read. You can be totally in the Emperor energy and still running that show. It just means you might be working with men or women, but you're coming through that way. Now, the current energy, so again, you know, you had this great start, you had this energy, you wanted things going your way, you're Adam from Seven Brides of Seven Brothers, right? And then in the center, you got the Seven of Swords. Now, the Seven of Swords, I do like the depiction in this deck because she's sitting on a cloud and she's really kind of, you know, she looks defeated and she's got all the swords there, right? And the Seven of Swords is a little bit of the thief card, right? It's usually someone got over on someone else. Someone, in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, someone is sneaking away with swords. You know, someone got the advantage. And here, I really feel like you kind of feel like someone got the advantage over you. Because again, with the Eight of Wands being kind of a defensive mode, and then someone else is, you know, looking guilty, right? I'm wondering if you didn't get made out to be a little bit of the scapegoat. Maybe you had this I'm really getting the feeling like there was this grand project that you were a part of, and it had all this potential, and you were excited. It was, again, green light, all systems go, but something went awry, and I really kind of get the feeling like the Emperor might be the source of it, where, you know, if someone wants things to go their way, it is a little bit like playing chess, right? And if things don't go their way, then there might be people who be treated as if they're expendable, like pawns. And as long as it gets them what they want, as long as things still go their way, they'll feel a little guilty about it. Like, okay, well, I promised that King of Wands that I'd give him that thing, but, you know, giving him that thing meant that I didn't get what I wanted, and I'm the Emperor. So I'm kind of getting the feeling as if you might have gotten the short end of the stick a little bit, and it might have been in promises made to you that weren't delivered on. So looking at it, going into it, it had all this promise, but then things got hairy, right? Things got hairy. There were power plays, definitely getting a power play vibe, because that's an Emperor concept. And all of a sudden, either one of two things. We can read it one of two ways. Either you got played and you had things taken from you, or you were told by the Emperor, okay, I need you to steal the swords. I need you to, and swords are thoughts, right? So you might be feeling really guilty. You might have kind of gone into this project, very blindly, full speed ahead, and you weren't completely aware of what it would entail, which is very like the Fool energy, right? You saw it as being all grand and wonderful. And again, it looks like it's got several people here. I'm seeing, one patriarchal male and then two very strong kings. And this is where it gets even interesting, even curiouser and curiouser. We got a third king coming in here. We got a third king coming in. So I'm definitely, excuse me, hiccup. I'm getting the vibe as if maybe this project, again, there was so much sunlight, and look how charging ahead you are, right? I think you thought that it held so much promise, and then it turned out to be a little bit more aggressive than you anticipated, right? Because again, she looks like she's defending herself. She looks like she's kind of fighting a little bit. And it might have put you into a position where you had to do things where you either had to look like the bad guy or you were the bad guy, and you weren't really happy with that, and you really, it says futility, right? Again, maybe you feel like what you're doing is futile. You're working so hard and it's really not giving you that sunny, future that you were promised. Or maybe I am really getting the feeling like you had to do some really kind of nasty battle, and it's not really making you feel real good, but it's your job, right? It's what you were tapped to do. Now, underneath the Seven of Swords, you got the King of Cups and the Two of Pentacles. Now, the Two of Pentacles is the juggling card, and it definitely says change. And I love the King of Cups, and especially in this deck, because he's he has a little crab popping out of his cup, which makes me think of a Cancer sun sign man. And, who are very nurturing, right? They're very nurturing. And if I had to call it, I would just say that you were given a great opportunity, and it was all, all systems go. But it's almost as if, I'm really getting as if you're juggling two sides of your personality. You really want to be this loving, sweet, do-gooder kind of person, someone who's there for everyone, because again, this is a third king, this is another king. And you can be a woman in this energy, but it's almost as if you have to juggle this expectation. You have someone who's telling you, okay, you have to bring in the money and do the thing. You can't always be the nice guy with that, right? You can't be the emotional, sweet, kind, there for someone person. And it's making you feel like you want change, right? Because you almost have to balance these energies. You don't want to be in the Seven of Swords anymore. You don't want to continue to be that person who has to kind of do any dirty work or not be seen as the reliable, kind-hearted person. You don't want to juggle that anymore, right? Now, as you move forward, you got the Nine of Pentacles. And the Nine of Pentacles is that self-sufficient card, right? And I really love this because you see a guy who's like just wearing pants and no shirt, right? But he's smelling the sunflowers, right? And sunflowers are definitely a sign of healthy self-esteem, of healthy ego. And what I'm getting a sense of is that I think maybe you might make some changes. You might move away from this more, big dog realm. You might get away from the kings. You might leave the table of all the kings, and this could be in a business sense. It could be a family sense. And you're just going to kind of go off and be by yourself. What I'm feeling is you're going to do things your way. And have you ever, I really get the simplicity of this card, because again, you're going from kings to, you know, just regular people, right? You know, you took the shirt off, right? I really get the feeling like you took the suit off is what you did. You took the suit off. And have you ever you've read those stories? There's a great book it's an environmental book, and you know, tomorrow is Earth Day. It's a great read if you ever want to look at it. It's by Janet Luhrs. It's Luhrs. Janet is the first name, Janet, and it's the Simple Living Guide. And I actually read that when I graduated high school, and it inspired me. It really inspired me. And what it was is she was a lawyer that decided that she was tired of it being the rat race, right? And that's the vibe that I'm getting, is that you're tired of the rat race. You're tired of it. You want to simplify your life. You think that you'll be happier if you simplify your life. And that's not saying quit your job and join a commune and live off the earth. No one's telling you. But it's talking about paring down. You know, you do not have to live any way that makes you unhappy or overstimulates you. And what I'm seeing is underneath the Nine of Pentacles, I think in the future, you are going to successfully move towards that. And again, it starts small. You know, you don't have to make these changes overnight. Just start slowly kind of paring down. You know, start asking for what you want. Start moving towards what you want. You know, maybe when things slow down and you've completed certain projects, once you've satisfied your obligations, once you've done what you've committed to do, you know, start getting towards that independence, start doing things your way. And what I thought was really sweet is that underneath the Nine of Pentacles, we have the Two of Cups and we have the Tower. Now, the Tower can mean the crumbling of a relationship next to the Two of Cups. But the other thing is that I'm seeing it as a sudden epiphany. I'm seeing it as a sudden epiphany. And, you know, the fact that this person is also shirtless, I kind of see it as, I just get the feeling that you're going to have an epiphany about all the things that make you happy in life. And that might include in a relationship, you know, just take it as it resonates. But, you know, the Tower is not an all bad card. It usually means like a sudden realization, right? It can be a breakdown of a relationship if you feel like you're in a relationship that's not making you happy. But just the imagery of it. The other thing is that this is a full moon. We have a new moon on the 22nd, and then 14 days after that, I think, I'm forgetting how many days, it would be by the beginning of May. But I do think that, oh my gosh, is it May 7th? It might be May 7th. But I do think that if I try not to put timestamps, this is coming to me, so it might resonate. But I do think that, again, Simple Living Guide, tomorrow's Earth Day. That's a great thing. You know, you can read excerpts of it, but it's just kind of that theme. Like, okay, you know, you don't have to. You live life your way. You don't have to be the $1 million lawyer to be happy. If you know. Do things your way. Live the life that makes you happy, whatever form that takes. And I do think that part of that happiness, and again with the King of Cups and the Two of Pentacles, maybe you were juggling a relationship, maybe you were putting a relationship on the back burner because of other obligations. And as you start living your own life, I think if you first put yourself first and live the way you want to live, then later, the right relationship will fall into place. And I do get the feeling as if this is something familiar because we have a 2 here. I do just think that there'll be some kind of an epiphany about your own personal happiness, and that epiphany came from this sudden, you know, this sudden learning experience, because the Eight of Wands is very quick, the Tower is very quick, and the Seven of Swords is definitely like, do I want to live this way? But the Nine of Pentacles is such a beautiful card, and that's such a beautiful future, and definitely, you know, you do you. Dare to be different, right? Dare to live the life that makes you happy. And I promise you, I think it's by the full moon, and I think it may be May 7th, that you might actually be seeing some sudden joy, guys, some sudden joy. But all right, but that is your reading. Gosh, like always, I always get a lot out of these reads. I hope that it resonates, and I hope that you enjoyed. I am going to be doing some special reads coming up. We're going to be doing some pick-a-piles, so as those days come along, and again, next Saturday, you'll get to hear the new microphone. I'm really going to test it out and make sure that it's working well. So the next reading will be the weekly energy card reading. I hope that you have a good Earth Day tomorrow. I'm definitely going to enjoy mine. I've made a lot of changes. I've committed to a lot of sustainable living things, and just like pile 3, it's very simple things. You start with one thing, you know, and you keep going. I did post a separate series called Eco Girl in a Modern World. Once things start calming down a little bit, I will continue with that series. And if you get a chance, I hope that you can check it out. Otherwise, I hope that you have a good week and that you stay safe. And I'll see you next time. Bye.